Real talk. Real talk. Real talk with Tim McGee.
1,000 people have been killed by police. On Tuesday, Derek Chauvin became the 8th officer convicted of murder for an on-duty incident. WREL's data journalist Ali Ingersoll has details about the rarity of this conviction and how many people died during law enforcement encounters throughout the duration of this trial alone.
A hang-up phone call to 911 prompted Pershing County Sheriff's deputies to respond to this home in Hurdle Mills on April 2nd, where shots were reportedly exchanged during a hostage situation, and 58-year-old Jackie Cameron Capps Jr. was shot dead. That incident in our own backyard is one of dozens of deaths involving police that have happened since the beginning of Derek Chauvin's trial on March 29th.
One case, that's one too many.
And there are many cases. Over the last 5 years, on average, 3 people die each day during encounters with police. In the 22 days since Chauvin's trial began, 103 people have been shot and killed by law enforcement, according to the Gun Violence Archive. That's an average of more than 4 people a day. Officers are often cleared of wrongdoing because the use of force is found to be justified. Data shows only 1% of police involved result in murder or manslaughter charges. NC Central Assistant Professor Hunter Bohm researches criminology and policing, and he says change is necessary.
Community policing, we have to strive for it. We have to develop better relationships. But all those efforts can really go to wash when the video of George Floyd emerges.
A survey from the Bureau of Justice reports Black and Hispanic people are upwards of 2 times more likely than whites to experience use of force by police.
Specifically, certain populations are more likely to be targeted. And I think within that, it's subsumed when there's more targeting of certain communities, there's more interactions. And by the sheer fact of more interactions, there's more likely to be escalation.
While combined, Black and Hispanic people make up about 32% of the country's population, they account for over half of those killed by police since the Chauvin trial began in late March. In all, the Mapping Police Violence database shows there have been only 3 days since the beginning of the year where police didn't kill anyone.
Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Tim McGee. You know, since the George Floyd verdict, you would think that would be a wake-up call to law enforcement that, they would finally realize, okay, people are not going to keep letting us kill the civilians that we're supposed to protect. But since the George Floyd verdict and trial, quite the opposite has happened. A report came out last week detailing that since the George Floyd trial begun 3 weeks ago, a surprising 103 people have been shot and killed by law enforcement. That's shocking. I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute. The 3 weeks during the trial of a police officer that is on trial for 3 types of murders of killing someone, police had felt the liberty to go out and kill 103 people. Within 24 hours of the George Floyd verdict, a surprising 6 people were murdered by law enforcement. Let that sink in for a minute. And of course, some of the most bad ones are African American and minorities. During the trial of George Floyd, we already seen the shooting and execution of Adam Toledo, a 13-year-old Hispanic kid. And so what? He had a gun. The time that he got murdered, he had no gun in his hand. And it pisses me off that if you have a weapon or anything, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a right to kill someone. If that person is not aiming a gun at you or trying to hurt you, then you arrest his ass. You don't murder them. You cannot be the judge, jury, and executioner. And that's what's happening right now. Think about all the videos that we've seen with white people with guns and weapons and how patient policemen are with them. But when it comes to us, it's straight to the gun. You think about Dante Wright. There's no way that he should have been killed. Ain't no way in the world this fucking 26-year-old veteran, Kim Potter, mistake her taser, her gun for a taser with all the training she has. And on top of that, she was training someone. And this is during the George Floyd trial. And there's a lot of people, policemen out there that are trying to use this George Floyd outcome as a crutch to go out and kill people, as a middle finger to the people, like, yeah, blue lives matter, we still gonna get away. That's just one police out of many. Check out some of these statistics. Since 2005, a surprising 900/1100 people have been killed by the police. Since 2005 and now. That's like 15, a little bit over 15 years. Over 1,000 people have been killed by law enforcement. In the last 3 weeks of the George Floyd trial, 103 people have been killed by law enforcement. 24 hours after the George Floyd verdict, 6 people killed by law enforcement. You had another story in Cleveland. A man named Trayvon, I think his name was Trayvon Johnson or something like that, but he was shot by a DEA agent that was sitting in front of his house, and when he got dropped off from coming from the store, he saw the car sitting there and a white man, so he started walking up to the car, and the DEA agent jumped out and didn't say nothing and just started shooting at him and shot the guy. He didn't die, but he shot him and then lied and said that he pulled out a gun. And even though they found a gun later on, it comes to show that there was a video of it that he never pulled out a gun. He simply walked up to the car like anybody would if you see a suspicious car sitting in front of your house in the hood. He walked up to it, and you see the police instantly jump out and start shooting. And then he runs off. He gets shot in the stomach. Miraculously, he didn't die. This is crazy. I mean, can you imagine having a job where you can go into work and murder a motherfucker? Think about that. We give police officers too much power. We should not give these crooked motherfuckers power over life and death. And I say this all the time in every police involved shooting I had. I said all that is going to do is cause police officers to start getting shot more often, and they are also getting killed every day too. But this story is not about that. This story is about them killing us. And now people are not trying to go to jail if you're getting killed. So now you got people, when they get caught dirty, they're shooting at the police because they don't believe that they're going to be arrested. They feel that they're going to be murdered. So they run, they get away. Then you have, I think his name is Andrew Brown or something like that, the guy in Cleveland that got shot in the back of the head, and they don't want to release the video. Only gave 20 seconds of it when he's dying, but they don't want to release the whole context. And then they're going to try to say now their narrative after a few days, oh, you see he put the car in reverse and almost hits one of our officers. Did he push it in drive and almost hit one of our officers? That's bullshit too. But they're going to try to justify that. They're going to try to justify the Ma'Khia Bryant girl who had the knife and rushed somebody. Yes, that she was about to stab somebody, but her being killed, I don't give a fuck. You're not about to convince me that them police so concerned with the woman who was about to get stabbed. And by the way, you don't know if that person was going to be killed. There was other things that they could have done instead of just murder her. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's justified. We are so used to being abused that black people accept a lot more than we deserve, a lot less than we deserve. If you see how they deal with white people in these similar circumstances, no one dies. And I'm tired of these people coming to work, people who don't like us, who don't know us and don't care about us, and they come to work and they kill us with immunity. This shit has to change, man, because I'm telling you right now, if we don't change the police power to be judge, jury, executioner, then our society is not going to stand, because there's too many people in the community that's fed up. that's gonna go and do something egregious, or police officers gonna do something egregious. They're doing this stuff as a fuck you, Black Lives Matter. They keep killing us because they know that the George Floyd trial is just one off. One guilty verdict don't make up for all the not guilty verdicts. Remember I told you in between 2005 and 2021, over 1,100 people were killed by law enforcement. That's 1,100 deaths. Guess how many of them got charged for murder? 44. 1,000 police officers, over 1,000 police officers killed someone, and only 44 of them has been arrested. You don't think that the policeman's looking at these statistics? They looking at George Floyd, so that's one off. I mean, shit, since 2005, 1,100 some people in America has been killed by us, but only 44 of us been charged. So the system is still in favor of the law enforcement. Only thing that's against them is the people, but until we change the system, we don't have no power. And then you got these same people who believe in Blue Lives Matter. They're on these juries. That's the majority of people on the jury. And you had some of those same people on the George Floyd jury, and you even had people that was not willing to say guilty at first. Can you believe that? That there were people that wasn't convinced that he was guilty of one charge or all three. But they finally did it. And look how shut and closed this case was. Any other case won't have a chance. Micaiah Bryant, if it goes to trial, she's going to be found, the police officer is going to be found innocent. Dante Wright, when his go to trial, even though she murdered him, that also may be found not guilty. Everybody talking about, oh, it's a change, it's one. But what good is that one if they're still killing us, even more so? This ain't nothing new, man. And we need to do something about this, man. And I'm telling you, that's what's going to lead to the downfall of America. White supremacists and police killing us. And the white blue line Trump supporters that support their ass. It's going to lead to a civil war, man, and I don't see no other way around it. You know, we can't keep sitting up here begging for these racist white motherfuckers to do what's right. Because that's who it is, racist white motherfucker. And we know all white folks are not racist because there's a lot of white people as tired as this as black people are. But they don't carry the same burden that we carry because we have a different type of fear. We're the ones that are being killed, black and brown people. So I just wanted to share these numbers with y'all and of how they killing us because the shit is shocking and it's frustrating. And this is the #1 problem in America right now. The relationships with blacks and whites and blacks and brown relationship with law enforcement. And until we switch this shit up, it's gonna be a lot more. I'm telling you right now, there's a bunch of people right now sitting in the cut waiting to go on a shooting rampage on a police officer. And I'm telling you, it's gonna happen like it did a couple years ago when those two guys did the shooting in downtown Dallas and then the other guy in Louisiana just started shooting police officers. It's gonna happen again because there's too many citizens out here that is traumatized with PTSD from the police. They're massacring us and it's an onslaught by the policemen, and I won't feel sorry when these motherfuckers start dropping dead. I don't promote violence, but come on, man. I'm not going to sit up here and play with y'all. This is a real talk, right? So I'm having real talk with y'all. You know, I support law enforcement and the idea of it, but I don't support crooked-ass police officers that hide behind the badge, that use their badge to go in and hurt people that they don't like. And that's what we have. And then they sit up there like they're saints and they're justified. And for that, I'm telling you what I know, God is going to judge this nation. Now, in the Bible, they're called the Roman soldiers. We know Romans are white. And that's what's mostly police officers. They're Roman soldiers, the same ones who crucified Christ. And like Christ said, what you did to the least of them is as if you done it unto me. Because he know he's a black man and he crucified Christ the same way. So what the fuck you think they're going to do to his people? But that's it for now. I just wanted to give y'all these numbers and let y'all know how they still killing us. So be smart when y'all dealing with police officers. As much as we need the police in our neighborhood to help us, be careful when you call the police to your house, because there's too many people calling the police for help and end up being the victim. There was a gay guy who called the police because his brother was tripping with him, and when the police came up, the police shot him dead. That was just last week too. Shot him dead and said he had a gun, and all he had was a wireless phone, house phone. I didn't even know motherfuckers still had house phones or wireless phones, but he had a house phone, and the police officer shot him dead. Gay or whatever, it doesn't matter. His life mattered too. And they just killing any of us. They don't care if you gay, straight, and they don't even care if you white sometimes, because they killing white people too. Just not at the rate they killing us. There's a lot of sick people on the police force, and unless we address this, we're doomed. But continue to check out my channel, support, like, and subscribe to my channel. And this is Real Talk with Tim McGee. Until next time, stay safe.